Hello and welcome to my channel Crafting with Shuttermonkey. I'm Amanda, also known as Shuttermonkey, and I live in Ayrshire on the west coast of Scotland. Today is Wednesday the 22nd of May and this is episode number 43. Any of the projects that I talk about today, I'll pop links in the description box below, so if it's something that you're after yourself or it's something you're interested in, you can easily find it online. Okay. So, what do I have to share with you today? It feels like it's been a long time since I last recorded an episode, but it's only been 3 weeks. But it feels like just so much has happened and makes it feel like it's been a lot longer. So I do have stuff to show you in the knitting section, and I do have some crochet, and I've got a little bit of patchwork as well. So let's just jump straight into the knitting designs section, because I've got socks on the sock blockers just now, ready to show you, and then I can get them off for the knitting section. Can swap them about. Sorry, the first design thing to share with you is the unicorn tail socks. That has now been published. It's on Ravelry and Lovecrafts, and it was published on Friday the 17th of May. So that's there, ready to download. This is a toe-up sock pattern. Just in case there's anybody new here, there are 6 designs that are part of this collection, and it's called the Coorie Collection. And it's a collection of double knitting socks that are just to keep your feet nice and cosy on it, maybe in an evening. They weren't actually designed for wearing underneath boots or shoes, just double knitting socks for when you're currying in at the end of a day and you just want to keep your feet cosy. This one was knit using leftovers from the first 5 socks, and I just tried to use up all my wee leftovers and see if I could create another sock design. So we have, what do we have? The colourways: Piglet, Sailboat, Buttercup, Pixie and Tin Man. Now see, when I released this pattern, it looks, when you buy the pattern, it looks like it uses an awful lot of yarn, because I think I've rounded it up to 30 grams. On my own Ravelry project page, I have listed exactly how much yarn that I've used, but I am a medium size circumference to my foot, and I'm only a UK size 6. I've got quite small feet. I've actually got quite small feet for my height because I'm quite tall. But if you were to knit this in a larger size, even just a shorty sock in a larger size, you may need an extra colour repeat or two. You would definitely, let me show you against a large sock, okay? Right, this is a large sock. And if we hold this up against it, you can see how much bigger a large sock is. And this is not for a huge, this is just a gents sock in large, but you can see the difference in size. So you would need an extra bit of length on the foot, and you would also need the extra circumference as well. So you would need extra yarn. So I have added that in to the pattern. So it may look like you need like 30 grams of each colour, and it's 120 grams, and it's not that much yarn. You would get away with less if you're only doing a small sock or a medium sock. If you want to do your leg longer, you will need more yarn as well. And I've tried to detail that in the pattern when it comes to the scrappy version, okay? Just in case you look at the pattern and think, well, that's an awful lot of yarn just for scrappy shorty socks. But that's why larger sizes may need more colour repeats. So that one is out. And I also knitted, a plain version of it. Now this again is West Yorkshire Spinners, and this colourway is Seahorse. Let me just check the number for you. It's the Bo Peep DK from West Yorkshire Spinners, and the colourway is Seahorse, and it's 293. And I bought this while I was at the Ori Mill in Eaglesham at their knitting class. They had some of the new colourways, and they had a really good range of the West Yorkshire Spinners yarns. So I thought that would be nice for an old shell pattern. And I wanted to try it with a long sock to see how the pattern would look. This hasn't been blocked yet. I've still to weave in my ends as well. You can see there's a wee, because I usually join, where I've cast off that last stitch, I usually weave it in and join it onto the beginning, but I've still not done that. And I've still to block them. And not only do they need blocked, but they've actually been scrunched up in a heap and stuck in a project bag for weeks. I knitted this about 2 weeks ago and it's still sitting waiting to be blocked. I forgot all about it until today, I'm not going to lie. But I do need to get it blocked and then get photographs of it and share that online as well, so that you can see what it looks like if you just do it in a single colour. Some of the testers actually knit it with speckled and variegated yarns, so if that's something that you would like to see, you can go and have a wee look at some of the tester photos. It does work better in a self-coloured yarn. So that is it in a plain colour, and I didn't even use the full 50 gram ball for this one. Again, it's just a medium size foot. It's a UK size 6, which is, I think that's about an 8.5 in a US size. European size it's 39. And I did the longer leg on this one, but I didn't even use all the yarn. I've still got 6 grams left over here. I didn't use it all. I just thought the leg was long enough there. I actually bought 2 balls of this, and I think when I'm working through all the patterns and I'm doing the cuff down versions, I'll knit a cuff down version to match this. It won't exactly match the toe. The decreases won't be the same as the increases on the toe up. It'll be slightly different, and it'll be a cast off here rather than a cast on. But I'll give them to my daughter, and I really don't think she'll mind, because she'll just wear them under her boots and shoes and stuff as she's going to work or if she's out walking. But it looks a wee bit untidy. It's a wee bit scruffy looking. But that's because it's just been shoved in a bag, the poor neglected wee soul. The next design I wanted to talk about was the green apple sock pattern, which is this one here. And again, this hasn't been blocked. You think I would be better prepared, wouldn't you? Found it in the same bag that the unicorn tail's in. This is green apple, and this is the cuff down version of this one. So that was the toe up pair, and here's the cuff down. That is with testers just now, and it should be released next Friday, which is the 31st of May. Golly, 31st of May already. The year's just flying by, isn't it? So that's the next one that will be coming out, and I can share that with you again in the next episode once the pattern's been released. And the only other sock design to talk about is this one, this other Scrappy sock. This is my Scrappy Patchwork Sock, and I haven't got this ready for testing yet. I think I had a bit of I've been overthinking it, that's what I've been doing. This works really well, the 5 different colours on here, when it's a shorty sock for my foot size. But I then started to wonder what's going to happen if you've got a larger foot. You get the same number of colour, the same number of rows, and your pattern repeats before you change. You might actually finish your gusset increases on the grey. And I think I just overthought it a wee bit too much, and rather than just putting the pattern out for testing and see what the testers, see what their feedback is. So I really do need to work on this one and get this one out to testers. Again, this is a toe up sock pattern, but I will eventually do it cuff down. The only problem with doing it cuff down, you would really need to know how many, if you wanted all the patterns in, you would really need to know how many rows you have in your foot, how many rows you would have in the gusset decreases, how many rows you're going to put into your leg, so you could work out how many repeats to do of the 5 different sections. And I think that's another thing that put me off as well, just overthinking it and thinking, how's this going to work for everybody? All the different foot sizes, all the different foot circumferences. If you wanted to then work it cuff down, we'll worry about the cuff down one when we get that far, won't we? One project at a time, I suppose. Let's get the toe up one sorted first. So I'm still working on that one. So that's everything that I have to share with you design wise. So let's move on to the knitting section. And I have 2 new cast-ons, is that right? Yeah, 2 new cast-ons in this section. One of them is a pair of socks, and I'll show you the other one in a little minute. You had a wee peek at this one. This is not a new cast-on, this is a whip that I showed you last time. Oh, I like the way that's swirled up the legs. It looks like Helter Skelter. This colourway is the Tunnock's colourway from For the Love of Yarn. Have I got a ball band here? No, I do not. And these socks are for my husband. Now, I'm using my Scoosh toe-up pattern, and what I've done is just a wee bit of broken rib on the instep, and I've carried that broken rib up into the leg, but on the back of the leg I'm also working knit 2 purl 2 rib. It just gives it a snugger fit. He's got quite slim ankles, and although he needs the large size foot, And he needs the large leg up here. He's got quite slim ankles down here. And sometimes his socks look a wee bit baggy. So if I make them knit 2 purl 2 rib on the back, they just fit nice and snugly. So that is how these are looking. And I really thought I would have these finished for this time. But I've got one sock finished and I have cast on. I've got the second one. Not done much to it. That's as much as I've got done in the second one. They've been neglected a wee bit too. And I did say the last time that I would get some Tunnocks tea cakes and show you what they look like, just in case you're in another part of the world and you don't know what they look like. So here we go. This is a Tunnocks tea cake, and these are actually made in Scotland. My husband occasionally does do some work for Tunnocks. And just if the light hits it in a certain way, that wee silvery wrapper actually turns dark silver. And I think that's where the colour inspiration comes from. But this is a wee biscuity base, and then it's got marshmallow on top, and then it's all covered in chocolate, milk chocolate. They're very, very tasty. In the last episode I did show you this colourway as well from For the Love of Yarn. And this is the Caramel Waver colourway. And I did get some caramel wavers, just for research purposes for showing you. So this is the Caramel Waver. And the wrapper in this one is red and gold, so that's where the red and the gold colourways come from for this colourway. This is just layers of waver, and it's got lots of caramel in between the layers of waver, and again coated in chocolate, and again very, very tasty. My husband did the shopping online, was it a couple of days ago, and I'd forgotten to buy more of these, both the wavers and the tea cakes, because if they're in the house I just eat them. I've got absolutely zero willpower. If they're not here, I can live without them, but if they're in the house, I can't leave them alone. So he actually remembered to buy them. It wasn't even me, it was him. And you know, he also bought a tub of mini caramel wavers as well. So we've opened those too. So the cast on that I do have to show you is a sock. I've been trying to clear my room out a wee bit, and I was clearing out one of the drawers that had a plastic tub full of yarns that I'd already cast on with and used, but they were leftover skeins. Now this skein here had 70 grams left on it. I can show you the partial, there's only like 30, I think it's 35 now. No, 33 and a half it'll be. Because I think it was 67 I had, 67 grams. So that is half of it there, that's the 33 and a half. And this is by, oh, I've forgotten the name. It's by Pixie Yarns, but I just can't remember the colourway name. I must have the ball band somewhere and I will look for it and I can let you know in the next episode. But it's pinks, it's a grey base with lots of different pinks, and there are flakes of other colour through it, but there's quite a lot of pink in it. Really, really nice. Now, I did knit a pair of mittens with this. So that's the mittens here. But I didn't like the way it was pulling on the mittens, but there's, I think I've only got 56 stitches, maybe 50 to 60 stitches, somewhere in the middle. And you can see it was pulling. It's not that bad. Do you know, I looked these out to show you today and I thought, it's not as bad as I remember it looking. You can see here, this one's got quite a bit of pulling. On that bit there. But I was trying to write up a pattern for mittens, using sock gauge, using what you would knit your socks at, and you could just work out how to knit yourself a wee pair of fingerless mitts. And I had used that yarn to try that. But as I say, didn't like the way it was pulling and then put it aside. But I only used just over 30 grams for a pair of mittens and I had quite a bit left. And when I found it just the other day, I thought, I really want to cast socks on with this to see how this looks as socks, to see if it pulls the same way as it did. And it doesn't. So here we go. This is how it's looking. This is why I needed my sock blockers. I think this sock looks tiny. And I was worried that it was going to be too small, that my gauge was off. Because I used new needles for it. It's the Knit Pro J'adore needles, and they are cubic needles, so they are little square shaped needles, and they're a lovely dark purple shade. But that's the packaging there. Knit Pros J'adore, and I bought them in the 225s that I normally knit socks in. So when I found this yarn and I thought, well, I've got those new needles to try, I really should go cast on and just see if I like the needles. I really like knitting with the needles. They're a wooden needle. They're cubic shaped, as I said. But then I thought, this sock looks tiny. I think my gauge is off. But I measured it unblocked, I should say, and it matches that, the other one that I'm doing for my husband, it matches that Tunnocks colourway. It's bang on. That's an unblocked gauge as well, so we'll see how it looks once it's blocked. I'm trying to badly pop it onto a sock blocker right now, so you can see how the colours are looking. And there we go. It hasn't pulled. A wee bit of pulling round here, just where the gusset increases are, where I've worked my gusset stitches, but that's to be expected. That usually happens. Even on this one, there's a wee bit of pulling on the gusset. Not really that bad actually, but you can see the pattern changes, the distribution of the colours. It's just the way it ends up when you end up with more stitches. But I think it looks out really nice as a sock. Now I've only used 33.5 grams from that cake to knit this one sock. I'm going to leave it on. I'm going to leave the stitches live. I'll pop it onto scrap yarn, and I'm going to knit from the other end of the cake, just in case I end up with a wee bit left over and I can just work an extra few rows and rib on both of them and just use up as much yarn as possible. But it does look okay. I thought it looked really, really small when it wasn't on the blocker. But as I say, I did count my stitches, how many stitches I had in the 4 inches and how many rows I had in 4 inches, and that was the unblocked that I'm checking it. And then I checked it against this one. I took the same measurements from this sock, just from the sole of the sock as it was lying flat down, and the both of them match. They're exactly the same. So it just must be my eyes playing tricks on me, but it is fine. So I think it will block out okay, because I was worried that maybe it was because it's new needles that I tried and my gauge was off, and maybe in the future I would know that I would need to knit, if I'm going to use these needles here, these Knit Pros J'adore, I would maybe need to come up a needle size to the 2.5. But it looks like it's going to be okay. And there we go. Matching socks and matching mittens. Not that anybody will ever see that I'm wearing matching socks and matching mittens, but it's a little thing sometimes. Right, let me show you the final knitting project I'm going to show you, and this is a new cast on, and it's in my wee basket. So let me show you the yarn. This is a wee bit of a mess because I've been pulling it from the middle of the balls, and we've got a wee bit of yarn vomit coming out each one. But once I knit another wee bit from each ball, that'll all tidy up. Now this is all Woolcraft DK. It's the new fashion DK, it's called. Let me show you a ball band. And it's 100% acrylic, but I'm knitting a blanket for my baby granddaughter. Maybe I shouldn't call her a baby. She's actually turned 1 now. It was her first birthday earlier on this month. That's her 1 now. I suppose she's still a baby, isn't she? She's a lot more mobile now. But this is going to be a blanket anyway for Amara. And the plan is to knit this for Christmas. So if I start it now, I should have it finished for Christmas. Now most of this yarn I bought 2 years ago. I was going to do, there's a crochet blanket that, do you know, I can't even remember the name of the designer or the name of the pattern. So I'll pop the name here. And it's a lovely crochet blanket, and it was supposed to be using up scraps. I didn't have a lot of scraps, and I started buying acrylic yarn for it. Changed my mind, and I'm not going to do the blanket. So I've got all these colours. I had lots of pinks to do the very first. It was a half square triangles almost that you're making in crochet, and then you join them all together. Lots of scraps, and the first one was a love heart, and then the second month it was crocus. So I've got a lot of pinks and a lot of like purples and greens for the crocus, and then the pink and reddy colours that were for the love heart. So I may as well use them up for this. Although I did have to go out and buy another 2 colours because I didn't have enough pink. It doesn't matter how much yarn you've got, you always need to go and buy something, don't you? So This one here is magenta. That's a magenta shade. Maybe I should show you the blanket first. Right, here we go. You can all guess what the pattern is because there's so many people already making this. And this is the Sweet Shop blanket by Laura Penrose. And mine's is going to be all pink colours. That's going to be the bottom row. That is going to be it. It's just going to be the 5 squares wide. I feel like the tops of my squares are a wee bit wider than the bottom. But I think once I join another row on, it'll all even up and all tidy up. And it does stretch out. It's not like it's too tight, it won't stretch. It has got plenty of give in it. So that's it there. And it's only going to be 5 squares wide by 5 squares high. And the plan was that if I look it out now and start it now, if I did 1 square a week, so it's only two triangles a week, it would be ready for Christmas. So that is the plan. But again, I got a wee bit carried away. I wanted to see how all the colours looked together. And doing it in acrylic, our mum can throw it into the washing machine, throw it into the tumble dryer. It doesn't matter how often it needs wash. She won't have to worry about hand washing it or lying it out flat to dry. It's completely kid friendly doing it in the acrylics, and I had all that there anyway. So let me tell you what the colourways are. I'm going to have to pull them all out the basket. This one here is magenta, and that is colourway number 732. The next colour is lipstick, and that's 155. Then we have, what are you? Mexican Rose 488. This one is Pale Rose, and this one, the shade number is 202. As I say, once I get another triangle done, I'll use up all these wee messy bits that are lying about. And the palest one is Baby Pink, and it's 2F79. This one's got a lot hanging out the top. I know I'll be really keen to go and get another row done just so I can tidy up the messy balls, won't I? And the colourway that I am using for the main colour, because I'm not just using plain cream, I am using this honeycomb colourway, and it's 1019. It's actually almost like an off-white with wee flecks of pinks and blues through it. But I just thought that was a wee bit more interesting than a plain colour. Plus it had 2 of these in the stash for doing that other blanket, so using those up. And that is how that is looking. There might not be that much added to this by the next time I record an episode, so I'll not show you it every time. I'll just show you it maybe once I've got another row added on. But I'm really liking all those pinks together. It's quite pretty, isn't it? I know my husband said to me, I started making it, and he said, oh, you should just lay them out so they make a big love heart. Wee bit late now because I've carried on with the first row. And I'm not ripping it out now, she said. Right, it's all shoved randomly back into this basket, and I will get it all tidied up as I knit from them. And that is how that is looking. Oh, what I maybe should say is I am using 3.75mm needles for this. The pattern calls for 4s. I like my tension, I like my gauge on garter stitch with this acrylic yarn on 375s. So I didn't do a tension swatch or anything, I just went to the 375s because I knew I would like it. And I'm quite happy with the fabric that it's produced. That's all the knitting that I have to share with you today. I haven't made much progress in my husband's jumper. We've had really, really nice weather here for the past week or so. It's been glorious. Sunshine every day, which we don't get a lot. If you get a few days of sunshine in a row, you're quite happy, but a full week yet, we've been spoiled. And I haven't really touched his jumper. I don't know if it's because I'm thinking, it's too warm for a jumper, but then I've cast on a blanket, so I don't know what my excuse is. But I will get back to that as well, and I'll show you again once there's more progress been made on it. So that is definitely all the knitting things I have to share with you today. So let's move on to the crochet section. And I've changed all those squares on my jumper. Just get my basket. This is in another basket. It's looking huge now. I did take out all the grey bits. I ripped out all the join as you go, the grey. And I made the squares. I added a round onto all the granny squares and made them 5 round granny squares and then joined them all back together again. And now I'm worried that I've made it too big. Just make sure it's the right way up. So here we are. See if I stand up, I might be able to show you the size better. Get my hair out the way. Let me hold it on my back. So I'm a wee bit concerned now that I've added that extra round on that it's just too big. So I think what I'm going to do, I'm going to make, I've got it's seven granny squares wide by 6 high, because you have 1 row down the middle. That would be where your button band is on the front. So the front pieces are only going to be six granny squares by 3 granny squares. So I think what I'll do is I'll make one of the fronts and I'll join that all together. And then we'll add it onto this and I'll see where it actually sits. Because once it's joined at the shoulder and it's hanging down, I did want a big baggy oversized cardigan. The way I'd done it before with just the 4 rounds of the 4 granny square rounds, it was going to be too small. It would have been a very, very neat fit. It would have been really tight and it's not what I wanted. I like it better with the 5 rounds. So there's one each colour in every granny square and I do like it much better. So I think I will do that. I'll make a front piece. We'll join it together. Even if I just pin it all together under the arms, see where it's going to come to, because even though it's quite big, you could just have wee short arms on it, couldn't you? Same at that side, wee short arms. That might be okay. If I think it's going to be way too big, I'll take some length off it. So that, see the granny squares that I take off the top row and take off the top row of the front, I'll use them in the other front. It'll be fine. So I think that's what I'm going to do. It just looks really big now, doesn't it? It's almost like a blanket. And I've enjoyed making it. I've enjoyed taking it all apart, putting that extra round on, putting it all back together. But whether or not it's too big or not, it could just be like a drop shoulder, couldn't it? It could just be like... I was worried it was going to be too wide and the sleeves would look silly, but maybe it wouldn't once it's all joined. It's just going to look big and baggy. But it's not getting frogged now. I'm going to keep going with it. And if it does feel like it's too long, I can take a row off the bottom. But that's the progress in that so far. I have got it all redone and re-put back together. And the colourways that I am using for this are all by West Yorkshire Spinners. And it's the Colour Lab DK that I'm using for this. That's 100% British wool. So it'll be nice and warm. And I did want a big baggy oversized cardigan. And that is all the colours in here. So we have Perfectly Plum, Very Berry, what's this one called? Cerise Pink, Thistle Pink, no sorry, Thistle Purple, and what are you, Candy Pink. That's my 5 colours there, and it's Stormy Grey that I'm using for the main grey. So I just need to make a front piece and then we'll see how it looks when I join it together. Because I think once you get a front piece added on, you'll get more of an impression how a cardigan's going to look rather than just holding up a square and holding it against you and going, oh, it's too big. And I've got one other thing to show you in the crochet section, and this is a whip that I started 2 years ago, and I just thought I would look it out and try and do a wee bit of work on it. And this is what I've done so far. The last time I showed you this, it would have been 2 years ago. I think it was in my whip parade as well for my crochet, and it's a little peony. It's a peony flower by Toft. I had the head done and I had the body done, and that was it. That's all I had. And I did the head in this cream shade by Toft. We were supposed to use this blush colourway, which was a hand-dyed colour by Toft, but you don't actually see much of it through all the petals. You can see a wee tiny bit here round the bottom. So I just used cream, so I would use less of this hand-dyed colourway. There was 100 grams of this in the kit, and it's one of this limited edition hand-dyed colourways that Toft do with some of their kits. And I thought it will just save some of that and I can use it for something else. So I did got all the wee petals put on. So there's some small petals in here that you crochet them all into the headpiece. And then there's some medium-sized petals around here. And then these large petals, you actually make them individually and then sew them on. Now, the only changes I've made are these large petals, you're supposed to put 4 on. I made 5 because I just feel like mine weren't spacing out evenly enough. And it just looked better if I made that extra one. And then I had a couple of wee gaps round here in between my medium petals and these larger ones here. So I just put in an extra couple of smalls in between just to fill in the gaps. Just to make it look more even. But I really like how it's turning out. I love that colour. I love that blush colourway, that hand-eye colourway. The wee marker here is just to mark the front of our belly. Toft tell you on the patterns usually where to put. There's a centraliser you can use. Put a wee marker on and it just reminds you where the middle centre of the body is. So that's what that wee marker's there for. And I've got our little arms done. The little leafy arms. So they're ready and I can sew them on. So she's got a little leaf shaped arms. And the only thing I've got to do now is make the legs. Make her wee legs and that'll be her. Stitch on some eyes, but I'm in 2 minds whether to do it the way Toft say, where you just use black and white yarn to stitch the eyes, make eye. You're actually stitching them on the wee eyes, or maybe I could put a couple of beads on, or I think beads would be nicer, wouldn't it? So I've only been working on her the past couple of evenings, and I'm really, really pleased with how much progress I've made on it. And then you feel silly for it lying for 2 years, because it was the 31st of May 2022 that I cast this on. This kit was actually part of the Flora Society that Toft released in 2022. There were 4 different flowers, and the other ones are over here. The other 3 are over there. I didn't sign up for the club when the club was released. I waited until each flower had been released, and I'm a member of a couple of Facebook groups, Toft Facebook groups, and as the flowers were released, if somebody didn't like them and they were trying to sell them, that's when I bought them. I bought them then. And I have got the full set, all 4 of them. And it would be really nice to make them. I think what inspired me to do this was my peonies in my garden are starting to grow. And I thought, I wonder if I could get that peony finished before the flowers pop open. Because I've got the wee balls that are just sitting there waiting to pop. And I thought, I wonder if I can get her finished before they flower. That would be really nice, wouldn't it? The only thing I'm not happy with is she's got a wee wobbly head. Now, I usually overstuff my Toft dolls, my Toft toys. I usually overstuff everything. I do stuff them quite firm. And this was, I remember when I was making this and thinking, right, let's see how the flowers look if they're a wee bit floppy. And I just feel like there's quite a lot of weight in that head with all that yarn up there. So I'm going to have to figure out a way. I either have to open it back up at the bottom, because this is where we finished off, and try and get more stuffing in, or even just a wee bit of wire. See, like a coat hanger, a piece of wire, a metal coat hanger. I could maybe stick that up into your head. Or a pipe cleaner, but I think I would struggle to get the pipe cleaner through because I'm quite a tight crocheter, but a wee bit of wire might work. Maybe I could just tie her onto a stake. I've got my peonies, I've got a cane in the pot, tying them up so they don't fall over. Maybe I could just tie her up to a cane, couldn't I? So she looks like she's been propped up. But I really, really hope I've got her finished for the next episode. I've really enjoyed working on her again, and just working on those wee flowers, those wee flower petals at the top. It's a lot of work. But see, once you've finished a wee bit, you think, oh wow, look at my wee peony head. It's lovely, isn't it? Really happy with how it's coming out. And as I say, just the legs to do and figure out how I'm going to put our wee eyes on. I thought she'd be quite nice with eyelashes. What do you think? I don't even know how to do eyelashes on a toy. Or if you can buy little eyelashes that you just sew in place, but maybe a wee flower with big eyelashes is a bit much. It was just one of these things. I thought, oh, she'd be pretty with eyelashes, wouldn't she? But maybe not. You can tell me what you think. So that is my crochet. That's it. That's the crochet section. And it would be nice to have her finished for next time. Over where those flowers are, over there, I've been cleaning out this cupboard a wee bit as well, and I've ended up with an empty shelf up there. I bought a couple of other plastic boxes to see if I could rearrange things and get some storage in there, but it's looking a wee bit empty and untidy in there, but I'm in the middle of rearranging it all. And as I say, that's the other 3 flowers there. So there's a delphinium, there's a dahlia, and there's also an amaryllis. But I think I'm going to change the colours when I get round to doing mine, because I think one of them's blue, one of them's peach, and the other one's red. But I might make them all like pinky colours. We'll see when I eventually get round to them. So that's all the crochet that I have to share with you today. So let's move on to the patchwork and quilting section. And for once, I have some patchwork to show you. This is Meredith, and Meredith is a musk ox. She's cute, isn't she? She's huge. Meredith is one of the blocks that's in the North Stars quilt by Elizabeth Hartman. And I've been making this, I think maybe 2 or 3 years I've been making these blocks. Let me stand up and I'll show you them all. These wee metal hangers come in handy. These were actually, I think it's for organising your kids' wardrobe, your kids' clothes, and they're quite thin. They're really thin metal hangers, and they're adjustable as well. And I had bought them for hanging up my quilts in the spare wardrobe that I have. So I looked one of them out and I thought, I wonder if I could get all these blocks pressed and on one hanger, keep them nice and flat. So I've got 7 now. I've got 7 of these made. Only 2 more to go, and I'm really, really keen to get this done. I'm decorating my daughter's old bedroom. She moved out last year, and we are redecorating her old bedroom and going to make it into a spare room for if anybody wants to come and stay. Grandkids, or my daughter wants to come with our partner and sleep over. I don't know, maybe they would be down at Christmas, and if you've had a drink or 2, they can't drive home. So somewhere for visitors to come and sleep if they want to. And I did consider doing a feature wall behind the bed. But then I thought, no, I'm not doing a feature wall. I'm going to have a feature quilt instead. So I want this to be the main focus in that room. So I really need to get it finished. But once I get this one done, I've got another one that I want to start. Excuse the crinkling. I want to make this one next. And I've said that I'm going to make this for my daughter and her fiancé. They got engaged. They were away for a few days in Iceland, and it happened over there. So I said I would make them a quilt, and I've promised not to take 2 years to make it, so I need to get a Gildy on, don't I? Because you know what I'm like. She'll be married before the engagement quilt's made. This is the Rainbow Rainforest by, again, Elizabeth Hartman, and I have everything to make this quilt because I bought it as a block of the month. I will get round to making it. You guys chase me on if it's not getting done. You're not seeing another block every episode. Chase me, because I need to get it done. I don't want them sitting in 5 years' time thinking, where's our quilt? Right, so the other sewing thing that I have to talk about today is an overlocker class that I went to. It was in a shop in Helensburgh, which isn't far from me. It's about an hour's drive, and it's in a lovely town. I remember going there a lot with my gran and grandpa when I was little. They would take you a day out there. It's a really nice seaside town, and there's a really nice shop there called Fabric and Finery, and they run lots of different patchwork classes, dressmaking, what else does she do? She does the overlocker classes as well. General sewing if you just want to learn to make bags or cushions, that kind of stuff. She's got lots of wee classes, after school clubs and things as well for kids. So I'd signed up for her overlocker class, I think it was back in March, end of February or March, but it got cancelled. There was only 2 people coming to it. And this was another one that was advertised online, and I saw it and I thought I'm going to sign up for that. It was really nice going to this class because I know the lady that runs the classes, Irina. I've met her a couple of times. And there was also someone that used to come to my classes. Hi, Karen. She was there as well. So it was really nice to be in a room with a couple of friendly faces, people that you know. It was really, really nice. So we had to set up our overlockers. My husband bought me that overlocker 5 years ago. August 2019 he bought it. It was before lockdown. And I tried it out the day that I got it on my birthday, had a great time playing with it, and then thought I'll get back to it. But I think the reason that I've not get back to it, I've been thinking about this a lot over the past couple of days, especially after realising that I had the thing for 5 years and haven't used it. I think I bought it to encourage me to dressmake more, to make more clothes, and I haven't done that. So it's not been used. There's always excuses, isn't there? But going to this class was really, really good. She had us thread up her overlockers herself, which I wasn't scared of doing because I did it the first day that I got it. I actually took all the threads out and I threaded it up myself. And it was fairly straightforward because it's like threading up a sewing machine. The wee arrows tell you all where to go. But Irina had us threading it up with 4 different coloured threads. So we know exactly which each thread does. And if something's going wrong, you know what you have to adjust. You know where you have to adjust your tension. You know what bit's going wrong. So she had us doing lots of little practice sessions. And I brought all mine home with me. So it looks like a bit of a mess. But she gave us a big bit of fabric, a big square of fabric, and we were stitching along one end. So when you're using the 4 different coloured threads, you can see exactly which one's loose, which ones are too tight, and you know where you need to adjust your tension. So I've got lots of wee samples like this, and I've been writing on each one what was wrong with each wee sample, so I knew what to change for the next one, and I've numbered them all. And then at one point it was just, I was skipping stitches as well. There was stitches being skipped, so we changed my needles to a better brand of needles, and then she had us move on to trying to do curves. Oh, I didn't like the curves. I've got a big cut in the middle of this one here. Managed to cut that with the overlocker. I didn't like doing the curves. Do you know, I think I wasn't pulling the fabric straight enough. It wasn't taut enough. I was actually trying to go round a curve rather than pull the fabric out and move it round. But my red thread was going a bit crazy at this point. It kept skipping stitches and coming out. After doing the curves, we went back onto some straight stitches because we were going to make a wee bag. And I could get my overlocker to sew fine on this thicker fabric here. It's a kind of thicker cotton. But when I tried to use the fabric that the quilting cotton we were using for the bags, it didn't like it at all. And it's actually chewed it up a couple of times. So I think I was rushing through too much, trying to get onto this bit, make the bag before the end of class, when I should have been taking it a wee bit more time to figure out what was going wrong rather than pushing ahead. That was my own fault. So this will end up being, it's a wee drawstring bag, and we just overlock this bit to give you the wee channel to put your thread in. Sorry, to put your ribbon in. We've got the 2 pieces, and then you overlock it all together. So by the end of the class, you make a wee drawstring bag, and I shouldn't have pushed ahead as much. I should persevered and made sure everything was working properly, because this one here, one of my threads just hasn't been happy at all, and I think I would be okay. See, if it's just a drawstring bag, it would be fine. But I'm going to rip it out and redo it because I want it to be right. I want to know what's going wrong, and I want to know how to be able to fix it. And then this one here, as you can see, I tried it once, it didn't like it, so I came in and tried closer in, and I thought, do you know what, my wee channel will just be thinner, and I'll have to even up the other side, but it just wasn't happy. So I need to thread it up again. I need to thread my machine up again and just go back to start and figure out what it is that's going wrong. Because I did ask Irina about, maybe it was the size of needle I was using, and she said no, it should have been okay, but I think I just need to slow down and just take my time. I've got plenty of leftover cotton fabric and scraps that I can practice on rather than this. It's almost like a thicker kind of calico fabric, I think. I can't remember what she said it was. But it is a heavier weight fabric. But I was using Schmetz needles in it, and I always use Schmetz needles for my sewing machine. That's the needles that I prefer. And it was still having a wee bit of a hissy fit. So I need to practice on this again. I just haven't had time to do it. I was at the class on Sunday. This is now Wednesday, and Monday, Tuesday I just didn't have time to do it. But hopefully tomorrow or Friday I'll just sit down with my overlocker and we'll have a wee, thread it all up and have a wee practice. It was in a cupboard. It was in that cupboard that I moved out of my room to get the computer table in. So it was moved into another room, and it was just almost forgotten about. But I think what I'm going to do, I'm going to clear a space on my big table here so it can stay out. And rather than it getting put in a cupboard and forgotten about, you'll see it there. Because one thing that Karen had suggested, was it Karen or was it the other lady at the class, that suggested you could, see when you're finished layering up and quilting a quilt, see before you attach your binding, you could actually get around the edge of it and do it with the overlocker, and then you're going to bind, you're almost like, you're attaching your 3 layers together and you're cutting a nice straight edge along a quilt. I could try doing that. So I think that's something I might try, so that I'm getting a wee bit more use out of this overlocker rather than it just sitting about. But Irina does run classes, and I have said to her I'll go back to the patchwork class. I don't really need to go to a patchwork class, but I'm just going to go because, again, it's the social aspect. I really liked being at the overlocker class, just mixing with other people, like-minded people. It's just really nice. And I've really enjoyed the wee knitting class that I was going to. That was only a block of 4 classes I signed up for. And it was really nice. I really enjoyed it. It's a lovely wee shop. It's very, very well stocked. Really enjoyed it, but I thought I would try something different this month. So it was the overlocker class that I thought I would try. And I have said I'll go along to the patchwork class, the next one. But do you know what? I think maybe I would have been better signing up for a dressmaking class. She does a fortnightly dressmaking class, which might encourage me to actually do some dressmaking and use that overlocker, wouldn't it? So that is all the knitting, the crochet, and the sewing patchwork related stuff to show you today. So the only other thing to show you are some acquisitions. And I bought some Knitting for Olive yarn. Now I keep seeing this online and it looks lovely. You see things online and you think, oh yeah, they look really nice, that looks really nice. But see, when you see it in person, it's really, really nice. And that wee shop, the Ori Mill, that I was going to the knitting class, the last class that I went to, they had just received a delivery, a lot of wool from Knitting for Olive. And they had just, it was like a shelving unit, a big IKEA shelving unit, and it was just full of all these colours. And this is the merino, Knitting for Olive merino, and the Knitting for Olive, sorry, what does that say? Soft silk mohair. And look how well they match. Aren't they lovely together? They both got the same colour name. They're both called Cherry Blossom. Sorry, I'm having to hold this away. I feel like I'm like, every time I try to read a ball band. I've got odd contact lenses in. I had no contact lens. I had one contact lens left, actually. I've ordered new ones. I always do this. I wait till I run out, and then I order the new ones. And I had one lens for my right eye, but I didn't have any for my left. And I know some people can do that. They can put one contact lens in. I couldn't do it. I felt like I had a migraine coming on because I couldn't see it at one eye and the other one had really good vision, and I've had to pinch one of my husband's lenses and his prescription isn't as strong as mine, so it feels kind of weird trying to... I'm not sure what eye to look at it. It's alright, it's daily disposables we've both got. I'm not going to give him that contact lens back in case anybody wonders about contamination or anything. It's a daily disposable, so it won't be getting used again. But this is the Knitting for Olive. Sidetracking. This is the Knitting for Olive, and this one's Cherry Blossom. And see, the wall of colours that she had are both of these yarns. They were just stunning, and I really had a hard time picking. This was the first one that caught my eye, and that whole 2-hour class, I was sitting there looking at that yarn going, oh, right, I'm going to get a ball of this and a ball of this, but what colour am I getting? 2 hours, and finally I couldn't pick one. I thought, right, I'm going to go to the initial one, the colourway that caught my eye, and it was the pale pink, but it would be really nice knitted up as some mittens, wouldn't it? It's absolutely stunning. It's really, really nice. It's also really nice to have a local shop selling these things where you can go in and see them. So the Ori Mill is in Eaglesham, which isn't far from East Kilbride. So if you do live local, or maybe even over in the East Coast, or I don't know, maybe you're further up a wee bit, Inverclyde way, it's worth a drive down. Just check that they're open because she stocks a lot of the petite knit yarns and patterns. She also stocks, is it Sandnescam and Peer Gynt? And now she's got a big stock of Knitting for Olive. It's worth a drive over if you just want to see all these yarns in person. Really, really nice wee shop. It's not like one of these shops that you see in the Nitty Natty videos where it's huge and there's loads and loads of space. It's a small shop, but she's very, very well stocked. And she's very knowledgeable and very helpful as well. Right. The other acquisitions I've got to show you are advent calendars. Now, I know I said that I wasn't going to buy an advent calendar this year, and I've stuck to that. The ones that I've got I actually bought before I made I'm not going to buy an advent calendar. So this has been lying in a box for maybe about 6 weeks, 6 or 8 weeks. I bought this on eBay. And it's the Dandelion and Dogwood advent calendar from last year. This is is it Christmas at the Dogwood Cafe? And someone was selling this on eBay. And it came with the full skein as well for Christmas Day. And the reason I bought this one, when I saw it online on eBay, somebody was selling it on eBay, when I saw it, I thought, oh, I need to get that one. This is one of the calendars that I saw last year when a lot of the podcasters are doing Vlogmas, and I really, really like this one. And also Amy, who is part of Dandelion and Dogwood, she actually has designed a sweater pattern called the Wellsbury sweater, and she used this calendar in one of the versions of that sweater that she knitted up. And I really, really like the way she's knitted it up, the colours that she used, and I thought that could be my Christmas project this year. So that is Christmas at the Dogwood Cafe by Dandelion and Dogwood from 2023, and I didn't pay as much as what the woman that originally bought this would have paid. It has all the wee tags on all the colours. I think the person that got it's kept all the wee tags and put them all in each colourway. So if this all falls off of here, I'll still know which colour is which. The package came with the bigger one. This was actually wrapped up in the pink tissue paper still, and it came as well with the bag, the tote bag. And it also came with all the little brown envelopes, the brown bags that each of these were in. So see, if I wanted, I can wrap this up and put it away and work in my jumper over the festive season. And by Christmas, I'll have forgotten what all these colours are like. The other acquisition to show you is another advent calendar. And this is partly the reason why I said I'm not getting an advent calendar this Christmas coming up, because I knew I'd bought that one on eBay, and then I'd pre-ordered this one when Spectrum Fibres offered it up as a pre-order. She was dying it again, was it February, March time? So this is the 12-day Spectrum Fibre Advent from 2023 as well. That actually just come through about a week ago. So it's just arrived, and I had pre-ordered it before I said I wouldn't buy an advent calendar. But it's lovely. I don't want to take it out of the bag because it'll mix up the order of all the colours. And I don't know wee labels or anything on them yet. But I did see this one on social media and I loved that one as well. Excuse the crinkling, but... And that is it. That is all the acquisitions. That's me showing you all my projects that I've been working on over the past 3 weeks. Nothing much else to share with you, apart from we finished watching Vera. That was quite sad. I really enjoyed watching Vera, and it's, I suppose, being back to the start. Leave it a year or two and then go back to the start again and watch it again. Are they going to make any more? I just felt like the last episode and the very first episode were quite similar in theme, weren't they? The only other exciting thing that's happened here is getting out to see the Northern Lights, but I think a lot of you saw that at the same time, didn't you? That was a good night. My husband had signed up for alerts, Aurora alerts, 10 years ago. It was actually 11 years ago. And every time there's an alert, he gets a notification, and it's always the weather's not right. You don't see anything, and finally those alerts have paid off. The only thing is, we were actually watching the last episode of Vera, and we were waiting for it to get dark so we could go out and have a look. And then he suggested watching a programme called The Long Shadow. That's on ITV, and it's about the Yorkshire Ripper, Peter Sutcliffe, the Yorkshire Ripper. And after watching one episode, I had said to him, I'm not going out. I'm not going out. No, after watching a programme like that, I'm not going out to walk about in the dark. I'm not doing it. But I'm so glad I did. It was wonderful. And I can't believe how many people were out there. We were out there, we went out about 11, half 11 at night, and see the amount of people that were out walking their dogs, looking for the Northern Lights. It was like Sucky Hall Street on a Saturday afternoon. It was really good. I'm so glad I actually stayed awake late enough to actually see them. So that really is all I have to share with you today. I've updated you in all the projects that I've been working on. I have told you about the exciting stuff that's been happening, like my overlocker class and seeing the Northern Lights. And I will really do my best not to leave it so long next time. I'll try and come back in 2 weeks rather than leaving it the 3. Okay? So thanks for watching, and I'll see you all again soon. Bye!